Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel for the ones who have been here before, and welcome to the ones who have not. My name is Janae and I'm the owner of Confidently You Creations. Happy New Year everyone. We are going into 2022. I cannot believe it. Everything is past Christmas. I'm getting older, all that jazz. But anyways, for today's tutorial, we are going to be doing this elegant, beautiful, simple design. Everyone has been asking where I have got, or where did I get the crafting paper. Everyone thought it was vinyl. So I will have that for you guys in January on our website for purchase. Everything that I use in my cups, I will try to have for you guys on the website. Therefore, you don't have to go and look for anything. You already have it in the website. So that is awesome. That is my new year goal, is to get that up as soon as possible for you guys. Okay, so keep a lookout for that, and I'll link my website down in the description box so you can take a look at that. So anyways, we can go ahead and get started with today's tutorial. Alrighty guys, so as always, we are going to start with a fully sanded and prepped tumbler. Here's a peek at our craft paper we're going to be using for this tutorial. And so first, what you're going to want to do is measure the size of your tumbler. I'm only going to use half of the tumbler for this design, for this craft paper. So the tumbler is 8 inches, so I'm only going to be using 4 inches for the craft paper for the top of it. So I'm just going to measure out 4 inches, and I'm going to take my marker and I'm going to mark off the 4, and then we're going to go ahead and cut that. All right, so we're going to go ahead and cut out our strip that we're going to be using for the top, and I'm missing my cutting tool. I am noticing that now, like, where is it? And boom, there it is. Okay, now we're going to cut it. My daughter messes with everything and under the sun. So now I'm just going to go ahead and wrap it around the tumbler so I can get a feel of how long it is, and I'm just going to go ahead and cut off the excess amount. So again, we're going to measure around the tumbler to make sure our circumference. So once you get your circumference, you're going to go ahead and cut that out from the craft paper to where when it wraps around, it won't overlap. All right, so now that we have everything cut out, I'm just going to wrap it around the tumbler to make sure everything looks good and I don't need to cut anything else off. And so now I'm going to go ahead and measure the rest of it to make sure it's 4 inches, to make sure everything is still aligned. And now that I measured everything, I'm just going to take my marker and mark off the bottom of the craft paper. So therefore I know where to place the bottom of the paper when I go to wrap it around after we place our ModPodge. So we've discussed in previous videos that you can put it on the paper or you can put it on the tumbler, whichever is better for you. I kind of do it interchangeably. Putting it on the craft paper is a little easier because it allows you to slide it around, but for this one I just went ahead and placed it on the tumbler because it's not much sliding around that I need to do to get it straight. I'm going to stand it up and I'm going to place the bottom right there on that line and wrap it around. So, and again, it doesn't bother me as far as the overlapping kind of not matching. As you can see, the pink rose overlaps that peachy one. It doesn't bother me, but if it does bother you, you may want to find a craft paper that is identical as far as your design goes. So get all of your bubbles out to make sure it is pressed firm against to your tumbler. And now you're going to go ahead and place your first coat of Mod Podge to seal this paper on. Get underneath the seam really good and go over the paper onto the steel part of the tumbler to make sure you have a good seal. All right, and so once you're all done with that, and this have dried for probably over an hour, you just want to, feel it to make sure that it's dry, and then you can go in with your crafting knife at the top and cut off the excess paper that you don't need. And once all of that is cut off, you can go ahead in with your painter's tape and wrap that around the edge of the rim to cut off the excess amount of crafting paper. Now, if you have a cup edging tool, which I now have, I went ahead and broke down and bought one. If you have one of those, you can just use one of your cup edging tools and cut it that way. But for those individuals who do not have a cup cutting edging tool thingy, this is a great way to get your cut nice and even all the way around. All right, then you're going to remove your painter's tape, and now we have a fresh cut and clean line. And now we're gonna go in with our second coat of Mod Podge to seal this bad boy, or bad girl, whatever you wanna call it. So we don't need to do 3 coats this time, since we're going to be placing glitter and then sealing that with our clear Rustoleum's clear gloss sealer. So that's gonna act as that third coat of sealant. You can add a third coat if you want, but it's just kind of unnecessary because we're going to be spray sealing it. So let that dry for a couple hours, and then you're going to go in with your, we're going to be using paint as the adhesive method. And then we're going to be using Pink Dragon from Glitterful for the glitter. So again, you want to make sure your Mod Podge is completely dry, because when we go in to put the glitter on, we don't want that glitter to stick to the paper if your Mod Podge is still wet, okay? It's going to be trying to pick every single piece of glitter off of that crafting paper if Mod Podge is still wet. So I don't personally like this paint of choice, but this was the only pink one I had on hand, so I used it. I'll link in the description box the paints that I prefer. I get them on Amazon, and they have a beautiful full coverage to where you see how you can see the brush strokes in this one, but the paint that I usually use, it's a full coverage paint and it's great. So now that I'm done with the painting, I'm just going to go ahead and give it all I got here on the glitter part and let this dry for about 2 hours, and then go in with our sealer. So after you're done glittering, you want to make sure you get all the excess off of the crafting paper that you see. I forgot to film that part, but go ahead and get it off now while it's wet, okay? So after that, you're going to take it outside, spray seal it about 2 to 3 times to make sure that glitter doesn't move when you're doing this epoxying part. And then once you've placed 2 coats of epoxy, you are now ready to sand. So remember, once you place your 2 coats of epoxy, let this dry for about 12 hours, making sure the epoxy is not tacky, not sticky, or anything, making sure it is completely dry before moving on to your sanding. So you can interchangeably use 80 grit to 100 grit. You want to make sure the bottom is completely smooth around the edges. Again, last thing you want to do is get to the end and then it's ridgy and it's rough. So go ahead and get all your sanding out of the way one time and be done with it. So you shouldn't have to sand at all on your crafting paper part. You just want to sand the bottom of it. Go ahead and edge your rim to get all that Mod Podge off, and then you can finish off sanding the rim of your cup. Once that is said and done, you've washed it, dried it, and applied some rubbing alcohol, you can go ahead and place your decals. I'm going to go ahead and place a strip around the middle to cover up where we are, basically the transition. This one is 0.15 as far as the width, and then I think it was like 9.5 for the length. And I'll link this vinyl down in the description box. It is by Cricut. You can get it anywhere in your craft stores or even like Walmart. And now I'm just going to cut off the excess piece of vinyl that I have that's overlapping. Cut that piece off, and also change my blade because I'm horrible about changing my blade. I want to let it last as long as I can. Okay. So now we're going to place our decal on this bad girl. And as always, I place my decal right on, like underneath one of the lines to where I know that it is on the transfer paper straight and correctly. Alright, so we added a little heat to this to give it a little boost so it could come off a little easier. So I'm going to place this right in the middle of the top part of the crafting paper. And as always, I use that top line to make sure it is straight. So I align it up with the rim of the cup, and then I just drag it down where I want to place it. And after that, since it is a smaller name, I don't have to use the hinge method. I'm just going to apply it all at once. If it was a larger image, then I would use the hinge method and cut one side and then cut the other side. So after that, I did go ahead and place another strip at the top of this. So as you can see, I only have that one, and I really wanted to do something different. So I went ahead and placed another strip at the top, which I don't know, it just added an extra additional look to it, and it just made it look so elegant and pretty. So we are going to coat it with our 2 coats of epoxy, and here is our final result at the end. Thank you guys so much for watching to the end of this tutorial. As always, thank you. Please give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and may even make one of your own. Please subscribe to our channel if you haven't already. We upload every Friday. So thank you guys again for watching, and we will see you again next week.